Hello, my name is Olurotimi Osha. Today is April the 17th, 2026. And yesterday, April 16th, 2026, we got the dreadful news of the murder suicide by a public figure, former Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, Justin Fairfax, who apparently shot his wife several times. His wife was a dentist, Dr. Serena Fairfax, and he murdered her in their home and subsequently took his own life. It was the same home where their children were in, and of course, my condolences to both their families. It's a terrible period. As I said, his sister-in-law was actually my professor at George Washington University Law School. She taught me corporate law, and she was a pleasant person. His brother was assistant dean at my law school. By the way, I don't know them personally. I just know them by way of professionally, as in I was a student of his sister-in-law, and his brother, his older brother, who's currently incumbent dean at Howard Law School. He used to be assistant dean at my law school, but I don't know them personally. I don't know what goes on in their homes, but of course, my condolences to them. Um, but in any event, something terrible that's been happening. The fact is that Justin Fairfax committed murder, right? He committed murder, and then he took his own life subsequently. Prior to that, he had been accused of, in 2019, of sexual allegations that were never proven, right? But that apparently derailed his political career. And then they said it is, court documents indicate that he suffered a significant decline, including mental decline. After that, it is, a judge. He was, of course, it was in a divorce process with his wife, right? And the court documents indicate that he had uh, undefined emotional and psychological issues, and so many things. But the thing is, something else I wanted to talk about was the way uh, social media and America generally they seem to um, moralize the wrong actions. They moralize the wrong actions of committed by people who are famous or who are powerful or wealthy. And you see all of that going on now. There's this mealy mouthed moralizing going on about, hey, what a good person he was. The thing is, he committed murder, right? He committed murder, he killed, and the victim, murder is bad enough as it is, but then the victim was his wife, right? How could you kill somebody that you love, so it is, but the thing is, there's a pattern in America, and this is what I don't want to discuss um, the Fairfaxes personally, because I don't know them, but the thing is, of course, I discuss issues in America. I've been talking about this pattern of morbid uh, morbid tendencies in America, morbid tendencies and violence, pathological violence in America. Uh, by the way, April 16, right? That same day, uh, other people were reported to have been killed, but they're not famous, right? As of uh, as of March 31, 2026, right? There've already been 98 shootings in America. 98, at least 98 shootings. 115 people at least have been killed due to gun violence in America. 377 people have been injured in America due to gun violence. Right. This is according to uh, Gun Violence Archive. Right. Um, and something I saw on social media claiming that black women are likely to suffer 35% more from intimate partner homicide. By the way, intimate partner homicide. When a man kills his wife, it's called uxoricide, right? Uxoricide. And so we're seeing a lot of this right now, an intimate partner violence. If if we hadn't been overwhelmed, right, fixated on the news of the former lieutenant governor of Virginia murdering and then murdering his wife and then taking his own life, we would have noticed the arrest of the musical artist David, right? David in California. David is arrested for the murder of a 14-year-old girl that was found in the trunk of his impounded Tesla, right? She was discovered September 8th or 9th, 2025, thereabouts. But he wasn't arrested then, right? And the name is Celeste Rivas Hernandez, right? And she's not rich, she's not famous. She was discovered in the trunk of David's car, right? As a musical artist. She was only 14 years old. He wasn't arrested then, right? Even though she had gone missing, she had been reported to have gone missing since May the 24th, 2024. The last evidence of life, the last time she was sighted alive was January 2025. Her body was her decomposed body that was found in September 2025 in David's in the trunk of David's impounded Tesla. He wasn't arrested then. The next day after I think she was discovered September 8th, 2025. The next day he was performing. He had a concert, right? Like nothing happened. Ironically, David wrote he performed he has a song called Romantic Homicide, and this is what I'm discussing: romantic homicide. It's very common in America these days, right? Apart from that, romantic homicide, domestic homicide, uh, I found again on April 14, 2026, right, just 3 days ago, um, a prominent Chicago politician's wife was found to have been the victim of another murder homicide. Her 23-year-old son uh, shot her 3 times in the chest and then shot himself in the head. So you see this violence, domestic violence going on, and it's so traumatic. Her name was Barbara Deer, right? Barbara Deer. She was the wife of the late Cook County Commissioner, right? So it is tragic. This is very tragic. And, of course, my condolences to their families. But this is something we have to address. We have to address mental health in America, right? And violence in America. Americans probably, as a civilized nation, we shouldn't have guns, the populace shouldn't have access to guns because Americans generally are very unstable people, right? Unfortunately, they mask their mental illness, right? They mask their mental illness underneath the bravado, the American bravado, right? It is so sad, and um, nobody talks about these issues until somebody's been killed, right? Until somebody's been killed. Um, it is sad. Like I said, it's sad that um, we're having these repeated, unaddressed uh, issues of gun violence, and we see there's a different standard when the perpetrator, right, the culprit is famous or they have power, right? See the instance of David, the musical artist. Since September, right, it took 6 months for him to be arrested, over 6 months for him to be arrested, even though the smoking gun, he was found with a smoking gun, a dead body, decomposed body found in his vehicle, right, in his Tesla, right? Why? Why is that the case? He was just arrested yesterday. Of course, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. But by the way, this girl, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, Celeste, she was just 14 years old. There are indications that she had a matching tattoo with David. And her mother said she was in a relationship. Her boyfriend was called David. It is said there are indications that she was living in a rental property, a property rented with the artist David, right? There, there's supposed to have been CCTV cameras of them going out together. And they said the last time, her brother said the last time she was seen alive, she went out with David. It's hot in here. Um, so so I'm sweating. My apologies. Um, so it's unfortunate that there are many people who are not famous who gets killed, uh, who get abused um, by powerful people, famous people. But nobody does anything about it. They're unaddressed. In the situation with Justin Fairfax, of course, there were allegations made by two women, even though they were they weren't unknown figures like um, Dr. Vanessa C. Watson, right? Sorry, Dr. Vanessa, not Watson. What was her name? Dr. Vanessa C. Tyson, right? She was a professor, right? And when he was, when there were indications that when there were calls for the incumbent governor at the time, Ralph Northam, to step down, right, to resign, and for uh, Justin Fairfax to step up and become governor. Um, she reported that he had sexually assaulted her at a hotel, and he had forced her to perform oral sex on him. She reported it to Washington Post. Washington Post failed to report it, right? The police never investigated. They never filed charges. Another woman came forward. Her name was, Meredith Watson. That when they were both at Duke, she accused him of raping her. Again, there were uh, no charges, right? No charges. Um, so we do not know, right? And social media, if Justin Fairfax had really committed these crimes and he got away with it because he was a powerful governor or he had access to powerful people, right? He was related to people who were powerful family, powerful lawyers. Then he was a terrible person, right? He's not a, there's no, uh, there shouldn't be that mealy mouth, moralizing that we're seeing uh, inundating social media right now. His wife is murdered. He committed murder. Good people don't murder people, right? That's typically the pattern. Why is it that when a powerful person commits murder, especially against a loved one, there's that immediate lightning rod, blame it on something else, mental health that his family didn't pick up. He had a mental health crisis in 2022. He shouldn't have had a gun around him. That's what the CNN media indicates, that he suffered a mental health crisis in 2022, and he shouldn't have had a gun around him. Are there people who make false accusations of mental illness against people? Yes, I'm a victim of that. A Howard University professor, G.D. Wire, made a false accusation against me, right, to defame me because I dropped the phone on him. Then he made a false accusation that I threatened to shoot him of gun. I was assaulted by Montgomery County Police and shot in the head. These are, injuries on my head, right? And then they filed false charges against me. My public defender was trying to get me to cover up the police misconduct. This is the appeals she was making to me, to cover up the police misconduct, because they're police officers in Montgomery County like police. They're supposed to be respectable, good people, even though she knew they committed misconduct. And then to add insult to injury, I was their victim. I was in my home. I don't own a gun, never owned a gun. They made a false accusation and I was raided, assaulted in my home. I was defamed. But she wants me to pretend to help out the rogue cops who committed a crime. So we see it happens. I could see how Justin Fairfax's misconduct, his abuses of women could have been covered up, right? By the authorities, by the police, by the media. They swept it under the rug. No mainstream media has carried the swatting I suffered. The swatting was engineered by Montgomery County Police and the Department of the Navy and Jide Wari, a Howard University professor. But Jide Wari has such an excellent profile in Montgomery County. He's a professor at Howard University. He's an elder at a church, at a fake church, right? At a white church in Montgomery County. He's respectable. So they're covering up for him, protecting his image. It doesn't matter that he abused power, he abused influence, he committed a crime. He almost had me killed. And then there's a judge, powerful judge, Judge James Bonifant, protecting him, telling lies. Judge James Bonifant has been committing fraud upon the courts. Jide Wire used the connection he had to another judge, Judge B.B. Berry, who graduated from Howard University, right? I later found out that apparently he and Judge B.B. Berry, they know each other well. That's what the police told me. I found this out just recently. The police said that Judge B.B. Berry knows Jide Wari well. So she approved a perjured, fabricated, falsified emergency evaluation petition that defamed me and almost had me killed to take away my rights. Now, an emergency evaluation petition that you see, Justin Fairfax was suicidal. Had somebody noticed it, they could have had him committed. They could have, put him away from society. That could have been prevented. So that's the purpose of an emergency evaluation petition, right? That's what it does. So it's an emergency. It takes away your rights. It's trying to preclude somebody who is dangerous. They're trying to kill someone or they're trying to kill themselves. And it's thought that they're mentally unstable. There were indications, the court documents indicate that he had been acting erratic. I mean, there were indications, right, that he'd been acting erratic, right? So they could do that and it would have precluded. That's the purpose of an emergency evaluation petition. But when an emergency evaluation petition is abused, right, and it's abused like the way Jide Wari, a Howard University professor, abused it, where he falsified a report, something that never happened. I was just in my home alone. I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. I was living alone, my best life. I'd just been promoted. Then the police falsified reports saying I'd been fired. I can't. How many jobs am I going to do at the same time with the government? I had just gotten a six-figure position at the government. I have evidence of it, right? In offers. I have those things. How is it that people who offered me a job in a classified area did not know, could not see that, okay, this person has a mental illness? Not the person I was in a relationship with, not my friends, not my mother, not my family, nobody. It's this psychopath, this crazy old man who does not live in my home, whom I'm trying to get away from. I have a right to say, hey, I don't want to hang out with you, right? Go look for your friend somewhere else. I was at the gym the day before, May 15. There are cameras that show it, right? Well, that's because Montgomery County orchestrated it with rogue agents of the Navy, right? And whatever all the intelligence agencies that wanted to discredit me, right? Because I'd filed a complaint regarding fraud. And that's my constitutional right to petition the government. That's the First Amendment. So you see, we're seeing where the legal process, the media that's supposed to be serve as a fourth estate and check abuses by government officials, you see where they're complicit. So Justin Fairfax's his atrocities could have been circumvented. It could have been precluded. But the court system failed. The media failed, right? I've been reporting to Washington Post, Wall Street Journal. I've been reporting to all these mainstream media. I have friends in mainstream media. Nobody's reported it in America. They've said they've tried to report it, but it's swept away, right? So they're the ones who know how they work together. They're in the pockets of people who have undue influence, outsized power in America. Not everybody's equal in America. We learn that when you are in a dispute, right, with or in conflict with somebody who is more powerful than you, right? There were women who probably indicated that Justin Fairfax, right, was not the person whom he portrayed himself to be, was not the person who should be trusted with power. But because he graduated from Columbia Law School, he graduated from Duke, he had access, he was already lieutenant governor, he had access to powerful people. They were easy, it was easy to sweep them, to brush them aside. That's one side of it. The other side is, like I said, I've been a victim of false accusations, right? As I've been talking about an abused emergency evaluation petition by a lunatic Howard University professor who's two of his children are attorneys, right? And of course, he has access. He's been a professor at Howard himself, and he masquerades as an elder of the church. So, and all of those things, right? So they're able to. Uh, these people are probably able to, people who make false accusations, and you could be a victim of people who make false accusations. That occurs. Could Justin Fairfax have been a victim of false accusations? But if you're a victim of false accusation, then it makes you more determined to clear your name, right? But again, not everybody has the same breaking point. But I think if you're the right person, you don't murder someone, right? You're not going to murder someone because you've been falsely accused. You're not going to even think about it. That's not going to happen, that you're going to want to murder someone if you've been falsely accused. You want to clear your name, right? So anyway, I'll stop this video here, and remember, all the crazy, morbid gun violence that's going on in America. And we should stop moralizing, justifying, as I said, Uxoricide or romantic homicide or any death. Murder is evil, right? People who commit murder are depraved, right? And they're degenerate, right? Except in self-defense. In self-defense, right, that's a different situation. You're entitled to defend your life. Your life, if you're subjected to a life-threatening situation, you're entitled to self-defense, right? Even moral laws justify that self-defense when when your life is under threat, right? But in any event, we should remember those people who are unknown, who've been murdered by powerful people. Again, people are innocent until proven guilty, but we should remember the case of Celeste. She's a 14-year-old, right? 14-year-old. So it's not just if David really murdered her. There are indications that he was also committing statutory rape. She was a 14-year-old who left her home when she was about 13, right? 14-year-old underage girl. There are indications that, in fact, that she was being referred to as David's girlfriend since 2022. So when she was about 11 years old, right? So this girl was exploited by somebody who was famous, right? Who was famous, and nobody cares. No, her body was decomposed when they found it, dismembered and decomposed in the trunk of his impounded Tesla, and nobody cared. He wasn't. He was still living his life. He was just arrested yesterday, April 16, 2026, right? So her name's Celeste Rivas Hernandez. She doesn't have access to powerful people. She doesn't have access. She doesn't have famous family. She doesn't have powerful people like Justin Fairfax, had, right? She hasn't held a powerful job like Justin Fairfax held as Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. Every life is equal and has value. My name is Luroti Milsha. I'll keep you posted.